Hey guys.
Hey.
So it's like the last day of classes, so we're just gonna get right to the point.
So welcome to Psych Files. Today we're going to be talking about the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul boxing match that took place on November 15th. What do you guys have to say about it?
I fell asleep.
I
didn't really
watched
see
it.
it.
I watched it live. It was really something.
I've seen clips.
Yes, I've seen
they're
clips.
resurfacing. Everyone has seen clips.
Yeah.
I started to watch it and then I went and did other things.
That's about how
because
boring it was.
it was
Yeah.
not
My
interesting.
my friend is the president of the boxing club here at school, so he was really
Oh.
excited. Like he had a whole group of people over. It was not.
Yeah, a lot
it's
of
not worth the hype.
people threw a lot of parties
Yes.
thinking it was gonna be this
Like
big,
this crazy
thing.
extravagant thing, and then
Yeah.
it turns out that it's scripted.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, potentially. I actually don't really know. I think he's also just old.
Yeah.
But you're
And-
telling me he posted videos of him training.
Yeah.
He was going hard. Like, yes, for his age, yeah, obviously that might be a factor. But like, seriously,
He was
like
going-
his training, he could have definitely. Jake Paul, first of all, had his hands fucking down. Oh. No, pardon my French. He had his hands all the way down here. Easy 1, 2, 1,
Yeah.
2, 1, 2, 3.
No, I agree. Back in his prime, it would have been easy. But
Yeah.
on the videos he was posting, Mike Tyson of himself training. First of all, he was training so hard he gave himself a stomach ulcer
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the fight was originally supposed to be in July, and then
Yeah,
it got
yeah,
moved,
got moved
to November.
Yeah.
And that goes right on to my point of how the fight was marketed. So I'm gonna get right into it.
Okay.
So the an article titled "Central and Peripheral Routes to Persuasion: An Individual Difference Perspective" by Cacioppo and colleagues from the University of Iowa. They wrote this paper about the different routes of persuasion, and I thought that it was very relevant to how the whole fight was marketed. So they described the individuals, the attitude of the individual's high need for cognition is more likely to be affected by issue-relevant thinking, which is the central route, and attitudes of individuals low in need for cognition are more likely to be influenced by the peripheral cues, so peripheral route. I think that like today's social media has made our attention spans so low that people are just only like their attitude in need for low cognition. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't take like we don't have long enough attention spans.
Yeah, and
So-
that's why the peripheral route,
It's more
the
effective.
route would be way more effective.
Right. So
Yeah.
they were posting these montages of Mike Tyson training like he was still in his prime and looking like so good. First of all, man gave himself a stomach ulcer, so clearly he was going a little too hard.
Like,
Second of
hard.
all, like you know what I'm
Good for him,
saying?
though.
Like good for him, but at the same time, I don't know if the fight was bad because it was staged or bad because they paid him to lose. I think Mike Tyson in his prime would never have been paid to lose. He was so dedicated to his brand of being a tough guy.
But could him being a tough guy like change because of the fight?
I suppose, or just because of his age in general. He's 58.
Or
he's
yeah.
58 years old.
Or like could it be because they paid, let's say they paid him off just
True.
to make Jake Paul's image look good?
Jake Paul had a lot to do with image in that fight.
I think they both got like paid good enough just from like the before advertising
Yeah.
and like like you said, Mike Tyson is like older. He has a family, he has grandkids.
That's true.
I don't think him winning really would diminish like his self-esteem. Like I feel like he's built it all. He was literally like one of the greatest
Yeah, he bit a guy's
boxers
ear off.
ever.
I mean, he
Yeah,
was like an
he's crazy.
intense machine.
He's crazy.
I don't think he would like stake his whole reputation on the fight to then just get paid to lose though. I really just think he couldn't do it.
I don't know. I think he could have. I just
Did you
think
see the way
he
he was
didn't.
acting in the post-fight interview?
No,
You
he's
guys didn't watch
definitely
it. He was so weird in
He's
it.
definitely older.
He was so weird in it.
He
He was
definitely
like
has health problems.
he was like,
that
nah,
way.
he won this one. Boxer of the year. And I'm like, that's a YouTuber. I'm like, what do you mean
Like,
boxer
what-
of the year? What do you mean?
YouTuber,
by-
like-
You guys. Oh wait, I want you to finish.
No,
I was gonna say
I-
because you guys are doing cognitive dissonance right now, right?
Yes,
in front
we
of my
are.
face.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just noted that the advertising was very peripheral with like the intense music and montages of them training and getting ready to fight. And they also really focused on the rivalry. They were
Yes.
like amateur YouTuber
Yeah.
versus all-time world
Yeah.
famous. Like they were really
Retired.
They were really just making it a whole thing
Yeah.
that was very peripheral and not very focused on the facts of the scenario at all. But the central route of persuasion was used when you introduce the two fighters, it goes through the ring and it shows you all their stats.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very central route because it was all statistics of how many fights they have, how many wins, how many knockouts.
I feel like that really attracted people that were like
Yeah.
interested in
Yeah.
boxing.
Yeah. I was actually really interested in the statistics of it, just to see them compared
Yeah,
to each other.
I don't even know how many knockouts did Tyson have. I saw
Like
it,
50
like 50 something. I was
yeah.
like,
Out of his like 70 something wins.
but
So
like
like
that's a
still
lot hard
Yeah.
to do.
It's
like
very
just
hard to do.
Yeah.
Jake Paul's fought like 11 times.
Yeah, but he also is new. Like he's challenging people who are like, if he were to go up against an actual boxer, he would get rocked.
Yeah. He definitely would.
No, yeah.
But yeah, those are just my examples of central and peripheral route being used in the advertisement or the marketing of the fight. The slap heard around the world. Remember that? That was like
Yeah.
they got all up in each other's faces.
Yeah.
And who slapped
Yeah.
who? I don't even remember. Did Jake's?
Jake Paul stepped
Yeah.
on Tyson's toe.
And
Tyson
then-
smacked him back.
Right. So that was like a whole viral sensation because it was
Yeah.
like, oh, they're just really building up the rivalry and getting people
Yeah. Mhm.
entertained peripherally without actually caring about their actual fighting records and their statistics. But yeah, that's my point. I thought it was interesting.
It was. You did
Thank
a
you.
fantastic job.
Fantastic job.
Informative.
Mhm.
All right, let's go into cognitive
All right.
dissonance.
So I'm going to be discussing cognitive dissonance. It's basically just a mental discomfort. I think of it as just awkwardness between people. This happens usually when people are sharing like their beliefs, values, their opinions about anything, like how you guys were talking, how like all of us were, like we were all talking about all this. So I'm going to be focusing on like the fans' perspectives because I feel like it would just make a lot. I've literally spent so long trying to like explain this to people. It's like both guys, both Tyson and Paul, have done shady stuff in their past outside of boxing.
That is true.
Like, I'm pretty sure Tyson was accused of rape. He's, just had some legal troubles. Paul's was a YouTuber, he's a social media influencer. Like, he claimed, like, he cheated on his girlfriend, like, way back when. And he's also had, like, I think he had this freak show thing that kind of happened, right?
I
Is
heard
it a
about
freak show?
yeah.
Yeah. So, and then he had that incident. But yet, people still continue to support them.
Right.
And they support them in one way, where they are creating a line between their boxer selves and their actual selves.
Yeah.
So I found this article. It was called "Why Do Community-Based Athletes Choose to Participate in a Modified Low-Risk Form of Boxing?" This research was done by Paul Perkins, Alan Hann, Richard Keegan, and Ermani Collis. And this is pretty much the research results were pretty much that a lot of people tend to support not the person that's doing them, but what they do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Tyson, he's done shady stuff in his past, but people still respect him as a boxer. People still support him. They would actually even say that he's a legendary boxer, that he's like one of the best boxers out there.
It's very much
Yeah.
separate the art
Yes,
from the
and then
artist.
same with
Yes.
Paul. So it's like the fans may think that Tyson's experiences outside of boxing, and then think of it as like, I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. It's so difficult to explain. It's just that it's like you want to support him, but you support him for his boxing, so you kind of say like, okay, he might not be a great person, but you're using the excuse as he's a good boxer though, so I'm going to support him. Like that's kind of that's what the fans I think are doing. If we look at Paul, he's struggling, but it's hard, like, as a fighter, because he's trying to like put his name out there.
Right.
But because he already had so much social media influence, it's kind of like, okay, he might be fine. He's fine. Like that's kind of,
I think his age demographic really backed him up.
Yeah, or like when they were fighting, like
Definitely.
when he was fighting, if you're a Mike Tyson fan, you're gonna say like, okay, if he loses this fight because I support him, it's just because of his age, because of his last of recent competition. But then if you're like a Jake Paul fan, you're gonna say like, oh my God, he could totally win this through strategy, through the fact that he's still fighting because of his age. Like you're making excuses for them.
Definitely.
And I think that's what cognitive dissonance can also be interpreted as.
Definitely. I had a note too about in-group and out-group dynamics. Like the fans of one are going to support
Yes.
that one and make
Yes.
up excuses for the
Yeah.
other one.
But what the passage pretty much describes is that there are going to be times when there is a person who, there's a line where it's like, you might support the person, but you might support what the person does, but not the person itself. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because actually a lot of people do that. Like, if we want to go off branch real quick, you know, Michael Jackson was accused of rape and like, you know, child pornography or like, you know, doing stuff
Yeah.
being like a predator, but
Kanye.
yet you still support his music.
Yes.
a lot of people
Oh.
in the art world
Yes.
specifically.
Like if we look at Nelly obviously does not have the best background,
Yeah.
but I still listen to his music.
Right.
I still support him because I like his music.
And we talked about that a lot last podcast
Yes.
with Diddy. People
Yes.
still supported him
Okay.
after everything. So
It's like a full
it's very
circle.
interesting. Very interesting. And I guess it happens in all forms of media.
It does, yeah.
Including
Even I guess even like it's
sports.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Very
Mhm.
interesting.
I hope I explained enough.
No, I thought you did.
I think it was good. Yeah.
100%.
I totally
Dr.
understand.
Wallace, I'm sorry.
I focus mainly on like Jake Paul, more or less the versus the fight, because I feel like he carried himself with like such arrogance. Like,
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah.
to me, he just
Both of
gives
them
like
did.
narcissist. Like Jake Paul gives narcissist
Yeah.
to the max. I don't.
The difference though being Mike Tyson also carried himself with some arrogance, but he has the statistics to back himself up.
He has
in
the
boxing.
reputation.
Yes.
He has
Yes.
the reputation.
Yes.
Yeah, he
Jake
carried
Paul is
himself
so
like a
new.
he carried
Like-
himself like a good boxer because we know he's a good boxer. Jake
Yeah.
Paul came in the car. Did you see him drive into the
Yes,
arena with
yes,
his brother and they're
yes.
spraying his brother's
Yes,
new perfume
yes,
line and
yes.
like it was a whole ordeal. It was really something to see. And Jake Paul was definitely very
Yes.
cocky and doesn't have the stats to back it
Statistics
up.
to back him
yeah,
up
no,
at
I agree.
all.
I agree.
But in my article by Olivia Guy Evans, she quotes, "The concept asserts that people want others to view them as they see themselves, to the point where they will ensure that others confirm their stable self-views. And this plays into the self-verification theory, which is the social psychological theory that states people want others to see them as they see themselves. And like I said, the way Jake Paul carries himself, and like even just like on his social media, he just, I don't know, it's just something about how he carries himself. He thinks he is the he thinks he's the ish.
Yeah,
he
he does.
thinks he is like a god. Like,
Which also made me root against him.
me
I was
too.
like, I don't want
me
this man
too.
to win.
I was like, if he wins, I'm gonna be
Because-
so mad.
Because of his personality.
and the way he carries
But
himself.
yeah, he still won the boxing match,
Yes.
so you gotta support him on that. Other
Yeah.
people have to support him on
I
that.
put a lot about confirmation bias as well, of people being like, oh, well, Tyson is a good fighter, therefore I don't care that he's old, he's gonna win.
He's gonna win.
Yeah. And even people could have done that for Jake too, and just been like, oh, well, Jake's gonna win because Mike is old, so I'm only gonna look at the evidence proving that Jake can win this. But Jake did win it, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
It was just something to see,
Boosts his
truly.
ego.
Yeah.
I did.
God, who's he gonna challenge next?
I don't even want to know.
Michael Jackson.
There was a bunch of memes about him challenging dead people because he challenged a 60-year-old.
I know.
There was a whole bunch of memes
I know.
of
I've
like,
seen them.
Jake Paul's next opponent, Babe Ruth. He's been dead since 1908. I don't know. There were funny things going around on the internet about what's next because he's now boxed Mike Tyson and won. So his ego can only
Let's just
be.
have him box P. Diddy.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, literally. Put him in the ring. Put him
Put
in
some
the
baby
ring.
oil on him real quick.
Put him in
though.
the ring. Literally.
That was
Literally.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but his ego and self-image
Yeah.
is really something to see.
It is.
Truly.
And the self-image of him wanting like his inner self and then his outer self, and like that inner versus outer, how
Yeah.
it plays a role, and he wants him to be
Yeah.
so like he wants him
Yeah.
to match.
Yeah.
I think that's also
Yeah, he wants like how his fans view himself.
to align with how he feels about
Yes,
himself.
that's
like,
yes.
So he's gonna
Yeah.
portray that very much, and he
100%.
did. He did. Yeah.
Sadly.
It was crazy.
Literally, sadly.
Sadly.
What else was there?
Yeah, there's
What
like.
do you guys think the group norms were for who we thought was going to win and who did win? I think my group norm was that Tyson was going to win.
I
thought-
thought
Tyson
Tyson was
was
gonna
I thought
win.
majority of the internet.
Only because
They
of
did.
his statistics and his reputation.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were looking at the facts,
Yes.
more
Yes.
or less. And again, the
The more
advertisement
central route.
really did make it look like he was ready to go.
Yes.
The video
Well,
montages
yes.
of him working out made him look like he could.
Compared to Jake,
He was still in his prime. I personally think if Mike Tyson was in his prime, he would have.
100%.
Oh, Jake Paul.
100%.
Like, he would've
100. Not even. Jake Paul would have
100%.
even offered to box him.
That's
if that
yeah,
was the case.
if it was still his prime. I agree. Yeah, because I just think the whole thing is a little bit skewed and crazy.
It's a little. Yeah.
Yeah, people conspired that Tyson was paid to lose, but others don't think he would lose because of his tough reputation. I don't even know why he agreed to the fight in the first place, but why do you guys think the outcome was the way that it was?
I said I don't think he has that. Like, I feel like he's just done with that part of it. Like, he
Yeah.
doesn't have anything
The
to
oomph.
prove. Like, he
Yeah.
already proved himself.
That's true.
He's already been named one of the greatest, like, boxers of all time.
That is true. Yeah.
He literally has nothing to prove. He has a family. He has a life. And
I was
he-
just about to say, I think it's honestly to keep him relevant.
Yeah,
I guess
and
it
he
worked.
got income from
Yeah, a
all of it,
lot.
like a lot of income.
I think
from
the
it.
reason, I think another reason why Jake Paul decided to just get into boxing was to stay relevant. Because
Mhm.
who was he? Because we had his brother doing like the prime bottles and all that, like getting, making him relevant. He
Mhm.
needed something to stay relevant. So
I agree.
yeah.
I had not heard of him in a while.
Me neither.
Till this fight.
I used to watch
Yeah.
the Logan Brothers like
Yeah.
on YouTube like so much. Like
I also had a note about it being like Netflix's first live event,
yeah,
which I think made it really accessible. So the way that Netflix was advertising it, like, I
Yeah,
follow Netflix on
first
Instagram.
thing, oh my god, first thing you click, it was that day, whatever day it was, you click it, it says Mike
Yes.
Tyson v. Jake Paul live.
Their advertising
at
was really
8 or
good,
something.
and it got their viewership really high, which
Mhm.
could have only made them more money.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Mike Tyson just didn't care. He just needed a paycheck.
Well, it seemed if you were describing like how he was off the, like after
Yeah.
the fight, post fight, like
He was very like, he didn't seem like himself. But maybe he's just out of it. Maybe he just knows he doesn't have it anymore and he gave up. He just accepted
Yeah.
his defeat. He was like, I just can't do it
I
anymore.
wonder how the fans thought of it. Like,
Yeah.
like if we were to go back to like the cognitive dissonance, like, okay, so let's say afterwards, like Jake Paul won, Mike Tyson didn't. Do you think like that affected anybody's beliefs or values? Like, do you think people are gonna start saying that Jake Paul's a legend? And
I haven't really seen too much of that. I feel like I've seen more people like making excuses.
Yeah.
Like they're getting rid of that.
Oh
like,
my god, that uncomfortable.
yeah, they're getting rid of
You
that
know.
uncomfortableness. And just like saying, oh, like he's old, and did you
That's what
see
I
the
do.
way
Yeah.
he was
Oh,
like
it's
walking
scripted.
around?
It's scripted.
Or
oh,
he made the money, he doesn't care what I'm doing, but he
Yeah.
made the money,
That's
he doesn't
also what I did.
care.
That's what
Like-
I did too. I think I wasn't huge fans of either of them going into it, but again, my friends really care about boxing, so we watched the whole event. The fights before it were way more interesting. Yeah, there was a girl fight right before them, and like her eye gash.
I seen that.
That
on
fight was so
TikTok.
entertaining. It was so entertaining. But then we got to this, and I wanted Tyson to win because of his reputation and because of Jake Paul's cockiness. I was like, oh, I don't want him to win. What a like.
Well, like a
Stupid.
cocky person.
Yeah,
like,
well,
get
like
away
a
from me.
cocky
Like, who
person.
are you?
But he actually has fought some people that I did not respect him enough for boxing. I actually thought this was like his first ever fight. It's not. I was hating a little bit too much. But then I experienced dissonance when Tyson lost, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, when
He could've won
when
his
I woke
prime,
up and I was
blah,
like,
blah,
he
blah.
lost. I was like, oh, it's scripted.
yeah, like
It's so scripted.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy because it's like
we made a lot
people
of
can make
excuses.
up a lot of they can
Mhm.
make up a lot of excuses as to
And
why.
we're still sitting here unpacking that we're making
Making
excuses,
up
and
excuses.
still committing.
and we're literally doing that
We're
right here,
still
right now.
committing
Like,
to those excuses.
In the midst of talking about it, we're
Yeah,
like
We're
making
still
excuses.
doing it.
Yeah.
We're still experiencing cognitive
How
dissonance after
interesting.
what, a month of the.
The fight
Yeah.
being done.
Oh my
like,
gosh, yeah, it has been a while now. Oh, it was an entertaining night to say the least, but just because it's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, real quick? You have anything else to add on like self-verification theory?
Not
How do you
really.
think Mike Tyson viewed himself, like after the fight?
Oh.
Oh my god. I just think
Like, do you think-
I think he literally like compares himself to God. Like I don't know if I've seen a video of him saying that somewhere
I think there is.
where he
I
was
feel like
like
I've seen it.
comparing himself to God and I'm like, you are unreal. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, that just makes me like I dislike him so much after that, like, and I really did like like him. Like I said, I used to watch the Paul brothers
Yeah.
all the time. So I just feel like after seeing that, I just don't.
Wait, Jake has a god complex, or Tyson has a god
No,
complex?
Jake.
Jake has a
Jake.
god complex.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Jake just has this god like.
I don't
I
think
feel
this
like-
hurt.
No.
This did not hurt
It
his god
definitely
complex.
boosted his ego.
Yeah.
Like his self-image is
Just when he
like
needed.
crazy.
Just when he needed. That is crazy.
But I want to know what Mike Tyson, like, before the fight, you can clearly tell that there was tension.
Oh,
There was
God.
definitely conflict.
But do you think it was real?
That's what I'm saying.
But then after the fight, and now you see that, you know, he's a good boxer, or
Yeah.
him complimenting Jake Paul on that. Like, you think that he wanted to make sure that his fans, how do I word this? Because your, like, self-identification theory, it's like your outer self and his inner self. Like, do you think that before the fight was him matching his inner self, or like after the fight where he's complimenting it? Do you think that matched that his
no,
inner self?
I feel like after when he was like giving Jake his prompts, definitely is when Mike's inner and outer self
You think
matched.
so?
Yes, because
Do you think his inner self has just evolved so much over his career?
I think that whenever like he would portray himself as this crazy, wild, arrogant guy,
Yeah.
it was literally just like for publicity
Okay.
and like to rile up like
Yeah.
the fight, like you know, like talk it up.
Yeah.
Because like even when he was talking about like Muhammad Ali, like the clips of him like resurfacing
Yeah.
of him talking about Muhammad Ali, he's like, man, he's like the greatest. Like he gives props where
He has
props are due.
respect,
Like he
yeah.
has respect for the industry.
That's good.
He always has. So I definitely feel like he matched his like inner self with his outer self like during the end of the fight when he
Afterwards.
was like
Yeah.
you know dapping him up and like this
When
guy's
he-
good.
When
whatever.
he walked in, like Jake Paul again, like drove in a car, and it was a whole show.
I hated that.
Mike Tyson just walked in with like the hood on, but he was like a little bit physically like his eyes were just very like disassociated. He looked disassociated, and my friends and I were like, "Oh, he's so locked in. He's so locked in. Like this guy is so
That's also called
focused."
delusion.
Yeah.
Delusion.
Listen, we
You
thought he was
delusion.
gonna win. Okay.
You delusional over
We
Tyson.
really thought he was gonna win. So then he got in the ring and he started fighting, and we were like,
oh,
oh, he just doesn't have it.
Mm.
We were
he's
like,
like, yeah.
round 1 of 12, he does not have this. We knew he did not have it.
But I don't know. The more I think about it, I feel like it's staged because I feel like he trained so well. He had to be in
Yeah.
better shape than what he
I
showed.
agree.
Especially
don't-
because they pushed off the fight for it to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like-
Maybe it was just anxiety. Maybe he just got in the ring and was
You
like,
know,
I
it
don't
could
got
be
it
that.
anymore. I just
True,
can't
he
do this
hasn't
anymore.
fought in what?
Or
How
do
many
you also
years?
think that maybe because he doesn't have as much anger or like as much frustration
Or as much to prove.
as or
Doesn't.
exactly
Yeah.
because maybe and because now he's what now he's like a father now he
Yeah,
has
he has
family he
grandkids,
kind of
like,
exactly
he's
like
a
do you think maybe because he
grandfather,
just kind of like softened up?
I just yeah
Yeah. He
I
just doesn't
just-
have it anymore.
no
No.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
think he has
interesting.
to have it anymore. Like
He's
I feel like when he was younger, he was definitely like in like survival mode. Like
yeah.
I need to prove myself.
Yeah.
I'm young. I'm new to the industry. I need to, you know,
Yeah.
make this money.
Oh
I
my
feel like
gosh,
he's just content with life now.
you just made me think like what if Jake Paul's doing the same thing
Oh yeah.
trying to make a name for himself
I think he already had a name.
but,
But it was
in a
dying.
negative it was a very
And it was
and it
so
was
not
negative
true.
too.
That is
Yeah.
true. I don't know. I still don't like him.
I don't either.
I still don't like him.
I don't like
But I used to love him, which is like so
I never
annoying.
watched Jake Paul. I just kind of heard about him, and I knew he was problematic as soon as he and his brother both started the rise.
Doing
to, like,
problematic things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
They were very problematic.
Didn't
They
they-
were.
Didn't they do something in a haunted forest?
Yes.
That
yes.
was Logan.
Yes.
That was his
That
brother.
was Logan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to
Yeah.
stop watching them around that time.
Around- yeah, that was
too
where I
much.
Can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, I never really watched them, but I knew who they were.
I love
Yes.
this.
I knew who they were. Is there any final points to make?
We could just like recap everything we said, pretty much.
Sure. I'll go first. So I went over the advertising. So I think it was very peripheral route during all the montages and intense music and showing them training. And then obviously right before the fight was those central route persuasion of just straight statistics. A lot of those were in Tyson's favor. And then when he got into the ring, it did not go the way that they had advertised it to go, or at least the way that it was seeming. They really hyped up the rivalry between the two of them. Again, could have all just been for show. Probably was all just for show, for advertisement purposes, just to get it out there. And it worked, and a lot of people watched it, and it was very disappointing. So
Yeah.
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 I did the obviously cognitive dissonance. I forgot what it was. I'm like, wait, what am I doing again?
Yeah.
It's alright. It's 6:35. It's late. I'm ready for bed. Yeah, cognitive dissonance. We see that through a research that was done that actually people sometimes see a person doing stuff and then the actual person as two separate things, and obviously that creates cognitive dissonance. You have Mike Tyson, who obviously he is a legendary boxer, but he's also done some shady stuff, but people support him because he's a legendary boxer. And then you have Jake Paul, who we grew up with. You know, he made a diss track, I think, but then yet he also cheated on his girlfriend and has had some legal issues, but yet, you know, some people still support him because he was an underdog in the fight.
That's true. That's very true.
And then I talked about the self-verification theory, mainly with Jake and, you know, wanting to seem like this tough guy who's on top. But then I bounced off of Lily with springing on to Mike Tyson and how he's just a normal guy living a normal life now.
Yeah.
Who just so happened to be a famous boxer.
Yeah.
And he just wants people to know that he is not that famous, vicious boxer anymore. He's
Good
changed.
for him.
just a grandpa.
He's a changed man.
He's just a
He's a
grandpa.
little
Yeah.
elderly.
Very
He
interesting.
is.
Very interesting.
We never said our names.
I also realized that. So anyway, I'm Marina Tonner,
I'm Lillian Resorco.
I'm Kalshana McBroom.
and that
That's-
was Psych Files. Woohoo!
Woo! See you guys next year.
Or
Never.
not.